Welcome back to SJ's Pistons and Pixels. I'm Steve. Today we've got a 2005 Dodge Dakota Laramie 4x4 4.7 liter quad cab. We're going to be doing valve cover gaskets. I'm going to be taking you through the process of what needs to get removed to get these valve covers off. Stay tuned, guys. So let's tackle the hardest side first, which is because you got to get all this stuff out of the way. We are going to start with the passenger side. What you're going to do is you're going to get this air box out of the way, and you're going to make sure everything's clear and out of the way so you can get to the valve cover gasket. So I've already loosened this stuff. I just have to pop these three clips. There's three clips over here on the back part of your air filter box top. Then there's a hose back here. So, already loosened this. So you're just going to take this off, get this out of the way. There's that hose that runs for the evap system. Now that you got that out of the way, you got to start making some more room around here. All right, so what we're going to remove now, we're going to remove the bottom part of the air box and possibly this top piece. See what else we've got in our way. So I got the top part of the air box off. You don't need to disconnect it, just push it off to the driver's side. I'm going to get the bottom part of the air box out of the way. Then I'm going to address these heater core lines and the evaporator for the AC condenser, because we got a lot of tight areas here. So let's get this out. Okay, we got the air box out. As you can see, we've got to get down into here. Now you've got the oil cap, your AC evaporator, and then you've got your heater core lines in the way that are blocking you. So what you have to do is kind of clear up some room here to make sure that you could get this valve cover gasket out. Another thing I want to bring to your guys' attention is, let me just zoom in here a little bit so I can get you guys on there, and I'm going to show you what also has to come off. Remember I was talking about that breather tube that's on the back of the air box? These two go to your PCV valve. This goes from the driver's side valve cover to the passenger side. It's not connected to the valve cover, but it's right behind it. And what happens is, because of where it is, this whole thing has to come out. You're not going to be able to see it, I don't think, from here, but I'll see what I can do. Down in here, which is a little bit too hard to see when you're working on it. Actually, let me see if I can get you on a better frame. This way you know what I'm talking about. Don't mind the wiggle. There's the hose. And it goes down into there, past those lines. It's kind of hard to see. Right here. Right above that orange wire, that's the hole. Right there. And I'm throwing you off because anyways, it's right under that orange wire in the back. And yours won't be the same color because that's aftermarket. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and get that off. I know I was talking about the evaporator, but we are not gonna mess with that because one, I don't have the proper way to extract the old Freon that's in there, so I do not want to tamper with that. So what you're seeing now is that is your oil filler neck. That's where you add your oil to. So we are going to take that off instead, so we have room to get to the size 10 millimeter bolt that's for the valve cover gasket. So what I'm working on here is just getting, there is 4 size 8 millimeter bolts that hold this oil filler on. So I'm just getting the bolts out now, and I've got one that's in a tight spot. Probably gonna need interesting. Let's get this off first. Alright, always check your bolts too, to make sure they're the same size so you don't screw up and put something, a longer bolt in the wrong hole. So far 3 of them should be the same size and one looks like this. And the other ones are just regular hex heads. So I've got to grab something. I'm going to put you on pause and we will be back. Okay, we got all 4 bolts out. Now just kind of maneuver it away from your heater core. And there you go. Thing is out. Check to make sure your ring is still there and it's not sitting against the thing. We're going to probably clean this before we put this back on though. So I will include this into the video when we get to that part. Right now, we are pretty much at the valve cover. And what we're going to start to do now is there is 2, I think 1, 2, I think there's about 12 bolts on here that need to get taken off so we can then separate the valve cover from the head. So that's our next step. We're just going to be removing these bolts. and then we are going to be maneuvering that out. So let's get to getting. Just put this right there. Try and keep your shop as clean as possible too. This way you're not looking for tools or anything like that. Busting out my good old trusty gear wrench. 90 tooth. Purchased the 3 set, so I've got the locking head flexes for 1/4 inch, 3/8, and 1/2 inch. I love the set. Started to like gear wrench a lot more in recent years. I have not tried their 120 tooth because I heard it's too pull in the head of the ratchet, so I guess while I have you here, and while we're going through this boring process of removing all these bolts, I guess I'll share with you a little reason why I got into doing stuff on my own. I was a mechanic since 2006 is when I went into mechanics. I started as an emissions tester, and then from there I moved down to Fairfield County, where I worked at a place as their emission tester, and then I learned under their head tech there. The reason I'm not in the field anymore and I'm creating these videos is back in 2020, I had a pretty big health scare. One that could have taken my life. I am a recovering alcoholic. I was in, coincidentally, this garage that I'm working in right now, finishing up my last beer for a late night and a cigarette, and all of a sudden I lost consciousness and fell back into one of my storage cabinets. At that point, I didn't know what was going on. I waited all weekend, thinking nothing of it. I was not getting better. I was very weak. I could not get up off of the ground without assistance. That's how bad it got. So when I finally went to the doctor, to make a long story short, my kidneys were failing. My whole body was shutting down. Oops. And I had absolutely no way of stopping what was going on. Those do not look good. One looks like it's actually broken off. So back to my story. Yeah, so I was in the hospital for 4 months, and I had to go through dialysis 3 times a day when I was in the hospital. Like I said, I was in there from beginning of January of 2020 to April, right? Yeah, February, March, April 20 something, 27th, 2020, I came out of the hospital. And at that point, I still had to go to dialysis 1 time a week. I had the permacath in my chest, and we didn't know what was going to happen. So to not bore you with everything that I had to go through, I have since been 6 years clean. I am sober. I was left with a physical handicap to where, because I was bedridden for so long, I walk a little funny because my legs are not as strong as they should be. So that's just, you know, more steps that I have to do. But I don't know why I'm sharing this with you guys, but just because I'm doing this, and I figured might as well give you a little bit of a background story of how SJ's Pistons and Pixels came about. So yeah, that's pretty much the backstory. I was it probably took me 2 weeks when I got out of the hospital to finally be able to walk. I wasn't even able to leave the hospital without a wheelchair. So right off the bat, I was having, you know, there was constant issues that I had to deal with. So I guess, you know, I'm still here to tell my story, so that's good. I do go see my doctors, and everything seems to be on the up and up, so that's why I am doing this sort of work temporarily out of my garage until I can get enough monetization up to open my own shop and work for myself. So okay, I'm going to have to pause again because I am seeing an issue with these bottom bolts. So yeah, I'm going to address this really quickly and then see what's going on here, and I will be right back with you guys. Well guys, hate to say it, but we aren't going to be doing valve cover gaskets today. Give me a second, let me zip this up, and I will show you exactly why. Yes, I know you're supposed to torque these down, but I am just tightening them back up for the simple reason is I just don't want to disturb it. I do not want to crack the old gasket. So now that I have you here, gonna move you over. Kind of hard to see. Wish I could get you in a different angle here. Of course, my vlog monitor has to block it. So let's see if I can get you. Let's see if I can get you here. All right. So down in there. Okay. Really didn't want to do it this way. All right. See this one right there? Okay, well that's supposed to look like that one right there. So you got a missing one there, and then if you go to this one, you can see there's no head on there at all. So I cannot get this valve cover off. So I had to abort the mission. So we are going to be doing a reverse replacing